Hi everyone, I'm Glory Ukwinga of Africana League Development Initiative. You're listening to Ombudsman Radio.
Hello to you out there, and I do hope that you're doing great and everything is working out just fine for you. The program is back. My name is Lola Oduba Omokri, and it's a pleasure to do this. Why is it a pleasure to do this, you may ask? It's a pleasure because I know that at the end of the show, you would have gotten something that makes you richer as a person. When we talk about richer as a person, we're talking about richer in knowledge, which then translates to wealth. On the show today, we have a business development executive and an entrepreneur, and basically a friend of mine who's doing very well in business. Good to have you, Chukwuma Ohaka.
Okay, Lola. When you say doing very well in business, I was scared.
I hear you.
Yes.
Incidentally, we've been on several sets
Yes.
on another program
Yes.
before. So, I
Yes.
mean, even many years down the line.
Yes.
So it's great to have you on this
Thank you
one.
for having me.
Yes. Now, today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. We're going to be talking about, of course, the challenges that people encounter and how to stay resilient even when everything looks like it's not working out. But first of all, the first thing is, who is an entrepreneur?
My own words, I'll say entrepreneurs are risk takers, people who get involved in businesses, who create businesses, but at the expense of higher risk.
Is everybody an entrepreneur?
Depends on what you call an entrepreneur. Most people think they're entrepreneurs, but when they encounter some challenges or they expose some risk, you see them give up. So not everyone has the mind of an entrepreneur. Everyone might aspire to be an entrepreneur, but I don't think everyone has the mind to be an entrepreneur.
Now, what sparked your choice to become a business coach?
Well, several years ago, I think that was about 2009, during the first banking issues in Nigeria, maybe in the recent banking issues of 2009. And what was it that they were doing then? I remember then I lost a job in the process. And I was working with a financial institution and I lost a job. And reason for losing the job was because the organization I was working for could no longer fund the business because they had some exposure in some banks that had issues and the business was no longer being funded. So not like I had issues, not like there were issues with my other colleagues, but they couldn't fund the business and they asked us to go.
Wow.
And that's without any plan
For your future.
for my future because I was so dedicated to the work. I was every day on the street, every day on the road, marketing. I was in charge of two regions then, Southeast and South region, and it was a difficult one for me. Life threw me off, and I had nothing to bounce back on. But I had to pick myself up and got into business, and that's how my journey started.
Is that what drives your passion to helping other entrepreneurs want to succeed?
Yes.
So that other people are not thrown on the streets as well.
Yes. I remember very well that I had asked them then, is there any opportunity that I can work for free so that I could just find a place to go out?
Oh.
And then I had a new baby, had my young wife, had my daughter. Everything
gosh.
It was difficult. And,
I can imagine.
and there was no plan.
No plan
No
B
plan
at all. No plan B.
So,
Wow. Now, how did you get out of that? I need to know that. For whoever is watching, who's encountering a challenge right now, how did you get out of that?
perseverance, resilience, trust, focus, and I'm hoping in the future. And with the support of my wife, I have a supportive wife, and it was a very difficult experience. But the fact that I had prepared myself by the kind of books I had read, without knowing I could find myself in that position at that point in time, I had been exposed to some gospel messages that inspired faith in me, and I had read books that propelled me to be focused and be hopeful. Then I received encouragement from my wife, and the fact that I did not want in any way to beg. The fear of going to anyone to ask for anything was one of the reasons I said, no, I must succeed, whatever it takes. So I Unfortunately, most of my family members didn't know I lost my job. My in-laws never knew I lost my job. So my wife and I had it within ourselves that we're not going to tell anybody. And we took it up like that.
How long did this process last? Before you
Well,
were able to find yourself and pick yourself up again?
from 2009, mine wasn't long because what happened was I delved into a business that I started making money easily. I transferred my strength in marketing for other organizations to marketing for myself. And I threw away pride because most times people find it difficult to get back on their feet because of pride. I threw away pride, got myself into a business that could be demeaning then. Because if you ask me, people will say it was demeaning. When people saw me then on the streets, they were shocked that I could do that. But that helped me. I was putting food on the table for my family without minding the stress. And if I tell you the business, you'll be shocked.
Please,
I
need to know.
I went as far as using my car to sell bread on the streets.
Wow.
I would go to a bakery in another town, get bread, then put it on my boot and be delivering to shops. And after in the evening, I get to a junction where they had more traffic, open my boot, my wife and I, with our new baby, will be selling to people. But the truth was I was very much focused. I had this zeal for accountability. I kept a record. I knew how much I was earning then, and I had told myself that at least if I can't earn what I was earning, let me just earn half of what I was earning as a salary. Fortunately, I was earning close to 70%. I was making close to 70% of what I used to earn as salary. So it helped me continue. So with that, I was able to get some funds and kept growing gradually to where we are.
And you've grown a lot.
Thank God.
I mean, if you look at, I'm sorry to say, if I've been to your office, and I just look at the almost palace that you have as an office. So basically what you're saying is that your background really should not matter, because once you have a vision and once you have a focus, you are going to get somewhere at the end of the day.
Definitely. That's the focus. That's the most important thing. Because it was scary then, but we overcame by the grace of God.
Yeah. So now, tell me, that is a success story, because my next question to ask you was, can you share a success story of a client? But you have just shared a success story of yourself.
Yes.
Now, in all of this, was there any time you just felt depressed?
Yes.
Feeling like, what is this?
Yes.
And how did you overcome that?
I overcame pride because I was a regional head in a financial institution, and I was earning good sum then. And you know what it could mean that after wearing good jackets and being in a good office, all of a sudden you found yourself
on the street.
To knock on the
on
shop.
People's cars.
No, not even cars. On a shop and ask somebody, would you buy my bread? The most depressing day was one of the days. We went to one place in our state then where we used to sell bread, and we parked in front of the secretariat and we were selling, and one police lady, without any offense, my wife committed, came out and slapped my wife.
Wow.
And
in front of
yes, in the front of public, and I looked at her. I looked at the job that we were doing, and I asked myself, if not for poverty, what offense did this woman commit that another woman would come and slap her? But I managed my wife, and I was able to ask her to calm down. There was a trial in progress. So she understood, and we overcame. But fortunately enough, after some months, when things turned around, God has a way of humbling your enemies. When things turned around, she ran into that woman also and at that point, the woman could no longer, she was no longer a bread seller.
Oh.
And the woman came and apologized to her. And they made peace. And I love the fact that they made peace.
So now, you, with all of this experience, what advice do you have for someone who's just starting out in business and who is finding it difficult?
There's this thing by this book, this quote by Robert Schuller. failure is never final. Success is never ending. At any point in time, you find yourself on the ground. You could choose to remain on the ground, or you might want to get up and take off and make that right step. Life is not a bed of roses. There are challenges, but the most important thing is that you should first and foremost talk to yourself, have a purpose in life, have a drive, have something that should encourage you to drive. Your best motivator is yourself. If you go out waiting for people to tell you to do rise up and work, fine, you could get people to do that. But if you are not motivated within yourself to do that, it might be very difficult for you to do that. So look up to have a vision. Know that the fact that you're on the ground today doesn't mean you're going to be on the ground forever. So rise up and move.
What sparked your choice now to become a business coach?
I've seen a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. There were several mistakes I made starting up as a business person. And most times I see people, it's one of the funny ones is people always think that I don't have money to start business. And they want to say, I have to go and collect loan first to start business. What is keeping me from doing this business is money. And I want to start with loan. And people, you see a lot of people end up
with their dreams.
Yes.
Unachieved.
And in most cases also you see people holding on to their ideas to themselves. They don't even open up for collaborations. And they think that because they have an idea, they are sold to it, and anyone they open up to
will steal their idea.
And see them down with their idea.
Yeah.
But looking around them and having the fact that I had mentors also who spoke to me, who mentored me, who guided me on my path, I felt like, okay, I could also guide people. I could also talk to people. I could also make them understand. There are holes I fell into that I wouldn't want them to fall into. So it's easier to hold them by the hand and instruct them and guide them. And to those who had paid attention, I've got a couple of them who listened to me, and we've been able to establish them, and their businesses are thriving.
Fantastic. That's good to know. Now, what are the most common challenges that you see business owners and entrepreneurs facing, and how do you really overcome those challenges?
The economic hardship, or the environmental hardship, especially the multiple taxations by the government. The fact that they are not actually recognized in a society where they are striving to be themselves, to be the best at. Like I wrote an article recently about how SMEs, small and medium enterprises, are one of the contributors of employment in labor. Yes, they are major employers of labor in Nigeria today, and unfortunately, most times they are not well recognized. And the fact that the policies are not stable. If you are an importer today, you cannot say this is your position because of the dollar fluctuation. Now, assuming you borrowed money yesterday at 20% or 24%, all of a sudden the MPC just came up, and today it's higher, and the banks wrote you and reviewed, and you had not sold what you borrowed the money from. Your interests. So those things are very, 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 very demoralizing. And the fact that most times there is this other aspect I call with lack of strong judicial system, whereby if you and I have an agreement, and because I know one person that knows one person that knows one person, I could do anything with our agreement without any justice
being served.
And because of that, people find it difficult to go into partnership, into agreement with people, and these economic environmental factors affect these business people. Then there are other factors where people do not the security aspect of it. You've had some people whose shops were robbed, who were late on their path to go to buy things, and nothing happened, and nobody gave them support. You've also heard about people who had their shops fire incident happen in their shop, and no support comes. So a lot of exposures and high risk are there for this small and medium enterprise, but it is what it is. You give in your best, and hopefully you succeed.
Now, how do you help entrepreneurs develop a clear vision and strategy for their business?
I first of all want to know who you are, what you want to get into, why do you want to get into what you want to get into. Nobody could or should impose an idea on someone. A couple of people I've spoken to who came to me to discuss business, I've always asked them their passion first. I've always asked them to know what they could do for free without getting more, if nobody's going to pay them
Pay
for that.
you.
Because if you force someone into something that the person does not have passion to,
When
when
the
the money is not coming,
They give up.
yes. So it is passion. When I identify your passion, I walk you through your passion. Then in the process, if we discover that you're not much into it as you should, we can open you up to collaboration. We can get you partners who also share the same vision, but may have the strength in the areas you're lacking, and have lack in the area you have strength, and join the both of you to work it through. So that's it.
Now, if I was just starting a business, imagine I just started, I wanted to have a business of my own. What kind of mindset should I have?
First of all, you have to have a mindset that you want to succeed.
Uh-huh.
Then secondly, you have to have a mindset that you need to create value. Because most times people want to get into business for the purpose of money. Money is the last thing in business. Value creation should be the first thing. Lola, if you create value today, people pay you for value.
Yeah.
And once people pay you for value, you've made money. So first and foremost, before you want to get into any business, find out what value you want to create. What is lacking? What solution are you bringing on board? What answers do you want to provide to people? When there were telecommunication glitch in Nigeria, when Nitel wasn't giving us
GSM came on board.
Yeah, GSM came on board, and you saw the values they brought
Yes.
in. Now, when it looked like the bigger
Communication
banks were not doing well, all of a sudden the fintech banks came, and it looked like everybody had gone to them. Now, I tell people Nigeria is filled with opportunities. I was speaking with some of my colleagues recently, and I told them, within yourself, you have an opportunity to create external additional income, irrespective of what you earn. What do you do with your time? You understand? So when you have a value to create in an environment where you are, you mustn't start so big. Little by little, you get to wherever point you want to
because
get
I see a lot of people thinking that they need millions to start a small business,
no.
not knowing that businesses are started from one brick to another brick to another brick. The most important thing I find is reinvesting in your business.
Exactly.
And a lot of people also make the mistake of thinking that, I need to give back everything I own to that business. Please.
Every business must have a structure.
Exactly.
If you can't put a structure for a business of 10 million,
1 million.
1 million
It's even
naira.
start of,
In
even
fact,
500,000.
A business of 100,000
Yeah,
naira.
yeah.
If you can't put a structure for a business of 100,000 naira, you will not be able to put a structure for a business of 100 million.
Yeah.
Because it is that structure that makes the business what it is. Business is like life. You can't wake up in the morning and not take care of your health, and you expect you to live a longer life. If you don't take care of the business, most times people do not differentiate what the business is from their personal life. People do not know that business should be an entity treated differently from their personal life. You see someone who has a provision store, for instance, and the person wants to take anything like maybe milk or so, that the person walks in there without proper accountability, takes it and walks away. Or you have a restaurant, you bring your friends and you tell them eat whatever you want. Or you have a snack place and all of a sudden you want to have meat pie, you just go grab a meat pie without accountability. Any business that lacks proper accountability will
fail
go, yes.
at the end of the day.
So structure is the most important thing in business.
I like that. Now, when I begin to feel like the business is not doing as well as it should, you've just told us that we should remain focused and continue at what we're doing. But is there any point where I begin to rethink my strategies, that maybe some part of my strategy may not be all good?
Absolutely.
And when do I do that?
No, when you would have given your best in your business, that's where mentorship comes.
Yeah.
And you may not have been giving it what you think may be your best may not be the best for the business. So that's where it's important to have someone you could walk up to and share your opinion or your vision or your challenges with. Now, your mentor is the one who could guide you out of such problems, who could guide you, who may have had experience in that area that you are having challenges, and could tell you what to do to walk away. You understand? So if you thought you had given your best to that idea and it's not giving you the returns you want, before you give up, try look out for someone that you could talk to who may have done what you are about to do, or who is more experienced than you are, then you see how the person was able to solve that problem and apply that.
Now, how do you help business owners to build a strong team? How do I bring, if I was just starting out, what would I be looking at? And who would I be looking for? So that at the end of the day, it's not just me doing this alone.
I always encourage business owners to look for partners when you want to employ.
Yeah.
Do not do this dictatorship kind of arrangement. Open yourself up and see every employee as a partner in progress. When you begin to see them as partners in progress, you treat them kindly. You cannot treat people who are supposed to help you progress wrongly and expect them to give you their best.
True.
So in selecting your person, first and foremost, you must first of all talk to yourself. How am I going to relate with my team members? Am I going to relate with them as an emperor? Am I going to relate with them as a partner? Most times you see that workers will work freely and better when they see that their employers are freer with them and who treats them as partner. What is your compensation mood? Are you the one that would allow people to work like horses and pay them like snail? How do you reward? What's your reward system like? Then most times the reward system may not be money. What are the things that you've added that will make your people? What are the incentives that will keep your staff with you? What exposures do you give to them in terms of training also? How do you talk to them? How do you treat them? Are you the one that when they bring up an idea to you, you're pushing them away? So first and foremost, you have to look at yourself first and be willing to accept all these things before you begin to look for your people that work with you.
Fantastic. Any strategies for managing stress and
A lot.
maintaining a healthy work-life balance
A
as
lot.
an
The most
entrepreneur?
important thing is look after yourself. Look for a time to unwind. Look for a time to take rest. The key word here is I always tell people that when the person dies, the business continues.
Yeah.
So life goes on. So when you have that mentality that life goes on, you should always know your stretched point. For me, when it gets to my stretched point, no matter what you tell me, I shut down. I shut down the phones. I shut down the call. I don't take anything. And in some cases, I travel out of Abuja so that I could just cool my head and reboot. And it helps me relax. So find that thing, that recreation that will make you relax. Some is bonding with your family. In most cases, I bond with my family and I forget everything about work. So find that recreation time. Know that your health is important and put your health first, no matter how much you're chasing.
I keep saying the same thing because at the end of the day, the business continues and you don't want a situation whereby you are missing because you have pushed yourself to the very limit. And at the point where you push yourself to the very limit, you find that you are not even operating at 100% of what you are supposed to operate. So you should know, everybody has different levels of stress levels, and you should know when you have gotten to that point. When you get to that point, you stop. It's
important.
But while you stop, you make sure that you know where you stop, because a lot of people do not know where they stop.
Of course.
You must know where to stop so that when you want to start again, you don't start at the very beginning. So I mean that is where you now begin to say you must keep records of everything that you do.
Definitely. And always learn to delegate. In most cases, entrepreneurs don't delegate. They want to do it
everything.
all. And when you carry it all,
yes,
it will break you down. When you're able to delegate, you could find time to rest.
True.
Trust your partners. There is no way you can run a business successfully without trusting people. Build trust in people and let people build trust in you. Then you can easily delegate, then find time to rest.
Can you share some practical tips on how to achieve and set goals?
It has to be smart. You have to set a goal that you can measure and articulate it. And know that you can't just wake up and say, I want to be an hotel dollar tomorrow. You first of all have to say, okay, between this period and this period, this is what I want to be. You understand? So, and how is that now? If you want to, I can give you a story about myself, how it started. So, because I love to use my case as a practical. Yes. First and foremost, when I got into the bread business, what we did was that we got a particular brand of bread that was not in Imo State Owerri then. I was living in Owerri then. So I was bringing it from Enugu. And what was my set goal? I had a salary of 416,000 at that time. So and I was like, okay, how many loaves of bread would I sell to be able to end that 400 something thousand? So I was able to calculate the number of loaves of bread I could sell, and I now devised a means on how to ensure that I sold those breads. And in most cases, in worst case scenarios, I was making like 303 something. So you see that I had a target, but it was a measurable target. But I didn't wake up one day and say I want to have 1 million naira. I had a place I kept myself, and I worked on that. And I was able to follow strategies to do it. I identified those I could sell to as wholesalers. I identified those I could sell to as retailers. And I had a record. And each supply I made to the wholesalers had its own profit margin. The ones I sold to the retailers had its own profit margin. And all those records were there. At the end, I was able to aggregate all of them and know what my total profit was. And I set a goal and said, if I have a particular amount of money, the next thing I was going to do was to go get a boss. So because I was making a particular, about 300 and something, I wasn't spending all of it. So I had a savings part I was making to ensure that when I get to a particular level, I'll be able to get the first boss report was 450,000 naira. And at that point in time, I knew the areas I was covering, and I knew the strength I had. So I knew that people were calling for my bread, so I needed to hire another person. So I got someone to join us in the business who also, I gave a target. So I was also measuring that target. We knew when the breads were going out of place, and we knew the places we had gone the first time and the places we would go. So if you have a target that you can measure, not just overload yourself with things that would drown you, then it will encourage you. If you have a target of 1 million and you are making like 600, you know you're trying. So it's it.
Fantastic. How do you stay current with industry trends and best practices in business coaching?
I read, I go for conferences, I follow mentors, I follow people on some specific, subscribe to some articles of some mentors and some reviews, and I read to catch up.
Fantastic. I mean, it's just been a great experience talking with you, Chukwuma. Thank you so much for coming to share your experience with us. But before you go, I must ask you this question. What's the most important lesson you have learned in all of this journey? You're still on it anyway.
Yes, consistency. I always tell anyone that cares to listen to me that the name of the game is called consistency. If you are consistent, Lola, truth is, people do not know that when you are consistent, whatever thing you do, and you are doing it right, before you know it, people recognize you with that. Take for instance, a woman who fries kose, akara, bean cake, or a woman who sells mama puts on the street. Maybe the first week she comes out, nobody may buy from her because they just noticed her. They were not budgeting for her. The second week when she comes, her sales might just start coming. It may not be as big as that. But if she consistently plies that road, you see that her sales will continuously increase. Until one day when she doesn't come out, you see that people begin to say, where is this woman? Where is this woman? Everybody will begin to complain. Whatever service you are doing, for as long as you are sure you are doing it right, continue. People may not notice you in your first 3, 4, 5 months. But for as long as you are doing it right, because where you can change your strategy is when you are not doing it right. But for as long as you are consistent, with the right attitude, with the right company, with the right structure, you'll succeed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming. And in case you are wondering who we've been talking with, we've been talking to a business development executive and entrepreneur, Chukwuma Ohaka. Now, Chukwuma also, I would not introduce his other title. I can tell you for a fact that we're talking with someone who walks the talk. He doesn't just talk, he walks the talk. And it's been a pleasure to have had you on the show today. Thank you for coming to share your experiences with us, especially your personal experiences with us. And of course, I hope that is impacted one or two things in your life and just stimulated you to know that no matter where you're at, that spark can still light up in your brain. Embrace it and run the race to success. My name is Lola Oduba Omokri. See you next week. Continue to watch Spark.
Hi everyone, I'm Glory Ukwinga of Africana League Development Initiative. You're listening to Ombudsman Radio.